Welcome. You have reached review time with Imperial, and today's review will be Don't Breathe 2. Let's get into it. So let's go over the cast and subscribe and like the channel. You got Stephen Lang, plays as Norman Nordstrom, lead character, and then you got Brendan Sexton, the third, plays as Raglan. You have Madeline Grace, plays as Phoenix, the co-star. Stephanie plays as Hernandez, and Diana plays as Billy. And then you got a bunch of goons: the surgeon, Jared, Duke, Jim Bob, and Raul. So if anyone's seen part 1, this came out 2016, and a lot of people didn't even really remember when it first came out. And it was these kids, 3 teenagers. One of the teenagers was, his dad owned a security company, and he knew codes to get in people's houses, and they was robbing people's houses. And out of the 3, it was a female, and the female, she pretty much had her mom was on drugs, and she wanted to get her and her sister out, so that's why she was building up her money. Now they stumbled upon this old man house that was, he sued some people. He was an old war vet, and he was blind, and they said he had cash in the house. So they figured, well, he just, a little disabled man, blind, they just gonna go in there and get the money. Nor did they know this old man has a lot of stuff with him. So he got PTSD from being in the war. He's blind. He got a Rottweiler named Shadow, and they go through this whole trials and tribulations, and he pretty much kills the teenagers except the girl. Now you find out that he had this girl trapped in his basement, and she killed his daughter, and so he took it upon himself to kidnap her, and his plan was to let her go after he impregnated her, and then he planned to let her go when she gave him a baby. Of course, they stumbled upon that. They ended up letting the girl go, but she ended up getting killed in the process. So the girl that was with the group, he was going to keep her, but then the young man that was with her, he fought all the way to the end. And so that's how the first one pretty much ended. The girl made off with the money, and all the other 2 teenagers died. She got her sister, and they just left. And what she got to see before she left out on the news, that he survived. And that was it. So when part 2 coming back 5 years later, there's no mention of that story. So it pretty much moves on to the next. And now we assume that he moved or whatever. So at the beginning of part 1, it showed him dragging the girl. At the beginning of this one, you see a little girl walking from a burning house, and she collapses. Then it fast forward, it says 8 years later. So this is where you get to see the trailer, where he has this little, he stumbled upon this little girl. He took this little girl. And so he raised this little girl. He's been raising this little girl for the last 8 years. So pretty much the little girl, he got the little girl, she's probably around 4. That's what it looks like. She's around that age, 4. And by now she's like 12, and he's homeschooling her. It's a ranger person that's in the area named Hernandez that picks the little girl up from time to time and brings her back. But he's very protective over her, and he's pretty much, Hernandez is telling him, hey, you need to let her go, or she going to bail on you. So that takes place. So Hernandez takes her out, and she says she has to use a bathroom. Now, when an alert goes on in the news that some surgeon, there been kidnapping people, and in the process of kidnapping them, they've been trying to steal body parts. So you already see where this plot is going. So Hernandez takes the little girl to where she used to live at, and she leaves, like, my mom, missing her mom and stuff like that. And one time she goes in there, and she hears somebody in there, but she hurry up and run out before she could find out who it was. So when she goes into this bathroom out in the city area, she meets a man, and he looks creepy. He speaks to her, but then the dog Shadow is with her, so the dog Shadow approaches, so he backs off. And so he felt her hair, and she has a streak of gray hair on her, so that's like a birthright. And so she sees a pamphlet for orphanage, because she, a shelter rather for kids, and she wants friends, she wants a life other than just being with the guy she knows as her dad or whatever. So they come home, and she pretty much say, I want to start going to school, and he tells her no, she's not ready. And so he's been teaching her how to survive. But you find out in the movie, like, I don't know why they even made that, like, that he's been teaching her how to survive, but it didn't show no attributes of, the teachings or whatever throughout. So, they didn't have no real true plan or whatever. So the movie can become like, really, did this just happen? So of course the goons track them back to the house. They kill Hernandez because she's a ranger in the area, so they end up killing her. So Billy Bob is one of the goons, so he's, reckless. He's just killing anything. So of course they show up. Shadow is on the porch, which is the Rottweiler dog that was from part 1. And Shadow gets, they find a way to bring Shadow off of the porch, and of course they kill him. And so Norman, he goes out looking for Shadow, leaves the little girl in the house, and when he leaves the little girl in the house, he finds Shadow and realizes that Shadow's dead. And when he felt Shadow, he can feel the blood, and he can see that somebody killed Shadow. So that triggers him that, okay, if I'm out here, then somebody's at the house. So they're roaming all through the house, and she got some little survival tactics, but not what you would think, not what you would think they would. That would have made the movie better. And so nevertheless, they don't have booby traps all in the house like I would think they would have. That would have made the movie better. But they made it too unrealistic. You got about 4 grown men, a blind man, and a little girl roaming through a house that's not booby trapped. The only thing he had was in the basement. He had a box that nobody could get into, and he trained her, if something was to happen, go run and get in the box. Well, the box, she couldn't get out the box, and the box had a vent that, the goon came in and just put holes down there. He was just going to drown her. So, and telling her to come out. And you would think, all right, lock in the box, but then inside the box, it leads to an outpack. There's so many ways they could have made the movie better, but they just didn't. You fell short. So, nevertheless, you end up finding out that the main goon, Raylan, is her dad. And he got a streak of gray hair, and then that's what he used to will her in, tell her that pretty much the guy is, he's not who she think he is, and he pretty much took her. And so, but she can sense there's something off with him. So, they do a lot of fighting, and he beats a couple of them, kills a couple of them, or whatever. And so what they end up doing is setting their dog up in the house to go after Norman. And when they do, Norman doesn't kill the dog, and so the kind of, he saves the dog's life because they might tell the Motai the house and burned it down. And so the dog pretty much was Gary burned up. He went up and saved the dog. And so the dog didn't leave his side. They took the little girl, and when the dog wouldn't leave his side, he heard these chimes, and that was the same chimes that he used to hear when Hernandez would pull up. So he found his way and walked to her where her van was, found her, found she was dead, and pretty much he went and threw out her truck and geared up with his weaponry, and told the dog to go home. And so of course the dog is going to lead them to where they at. Meanwhile, where they at, she comes to, and pretty much the dad is saying, you know, you're not a prisoner no more, you could go. And so she's making her way to the door, so you know something is off, and then she hear a voice. She was singing this song all movie, and pretty much that was a song she remembered from her mom. And of course her mom shows up, but you find out right away that the mom is off, she's ill. And so you find out, you already putting two to two together, that the mom needs a donor for something. So you find out that during the fire, they was running a meth lab, and the mom's insides got damaged pretty bad, and so she needs a new heart. And pretty much they got this surgeon that was doing this dirty stuff. He's going to take the heart out of Phoenix and then put it in the mom. And the mom is pretty much like a piece of crap. So is the dad. They ain't got no love for the daughter, none of that. And so one of the goons, Raul, he pretty much looking like, this ain't right. And they pretty much telling him like, listen, man, if she died, she makes the product. We ain't gonna have no product or whatever. So, you know, some real lowlights in real life out there doing that type of stuff too. So nevertheless, you know, old dude shows up, and then this is his last stand. Pretty much kills everybody. Raul had a chance to kill him, but Raul pretty much was like, nah, I don't like what they doing, and he let the old dude live. And old dude meaning Norman, and when he let him live, he told him, if you go through here, you can save her. And he pretty much goes out, kills the surgeon in this one final battle, and the dad Raylan ended up killing his wife, Phoenix's mom. He kills her by accident, shoots her, and then Norman pretty much, you know, they fight to the death, and then Norman pokes out his eyes, and then he tells Phoenix, you need to leave me because I'm a bad person or whatever. And when he does that, Raylan pops back up, stabs Norman in the side of the ribs. He's bleeding out, and then Phoenix comes, and then she does the grandstand, and she stabs and kills her dad. He dies, and when he dies, you see Norman is bleeding out, and so she like, you can't leave me, I can help you. He's like, you already helped me, you know what I mean, basically giving me a daughter. And it comes off as if he's dying at this moment, but he could have really just passed out for loss of blood. He got stabbed in the side, and they just show her leave out wherever that place was. It was like an old YMCA or something like that. Show her leaves out of that place and goes to the shelter and meet with the kids, and it goes off. Out of my 4-star rating system, I'm gonna give this movie a 1.5 out of 4 stars. Could have been way better, but it wasn't. Kind of like a money grab because of the success of part 1. So subscribe to the channel, like the video. Until next time.